Hey guys, we're here again from Mummert Y Block, and we're going to take the time with you right now to show you what goes on the front of a Y Block camshaft. We get this call all the time. People get these parts put on the cam incorrectly all the time. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how they come off quickly, and then we're going to also reinstall them. So obviously you'll pull the bolt and the washer off. And then this one here is one of the confusing parts. This is one of the first spacers. And what we want to show you about this spacer is that it's got a smaller chamfer and it's even on both sides. And it's almost 5/16 of an inch thick. Okay. This is not the cam thrust spacer. This one goes on after the fuel pump eccentric. It's one of the last parts to go on. Okay, so then we have our fuel pump spacer, fuel pump eccentric.
Now up to 1956, 54 to 56 engines. Had a counterweight to offset the weight of the fuel pump eccentric for your smoother running engine. But that was deleted for the 57 model year.
And they used this part. And it's obviously easily identifiable with the keyway brooch in it. This part is essentially the same thing as the counterweight. So 56 and earlier, 57 to 64 here later. This is the same thing. So just keep that in mind.
One or the other
Works.
But not both. You got to have one or the other. You got to either have this or this.
Not both.
Not both.
So then comes the timing gear itself. Ah, it's a nice piece there. Yeah. Now you'll undo your bolts. Now at this point you can see we don't have the Woodruff key in there because we're just trying to make it come off easily. But at this point you would undo the bolts from the block and you would remove the cam thrust plate.
Now these cam thrust plates run about 188 thousandths thick.
And they need to be thinner than this spacer. This spacer must be thicker for the cam to have in play. And this spacer is the one with the big bevel. You can see it has virtually no bevel, and no bevel goes out. The large bevel goes toward the cam. The cam has a radius on it. And if you try to put this on backwards, sharp edge in like this, you're going to break this. So this goes like out, sharp edge out.
And when you disassemble your engine, this will be held into place by the Woodruff key. So if you throw away your old cam, you're going to need one of these. Can't run your engine without it. So
right now, nobody makes this part, guys. A lot of people discard their old cam and leave this on the old cam when they throw it in the trash. New cams do not come with this. So you have to remove the Woodruff key and you have to get this off. And now you're left with the nose of the cam. So essentially, we're going to put it together and we're going to repeat this kind of in reverse order so you can see it.
One thing I like to do before we even put the cam in the engine is to put the cam gear on there, make sure it spins easy so that you don't fight it. If by chance there's a burr out here or inside the gear, you're not going to fight it when you try to put it together.
you'll see right here, this cam, it's pretty common on newer cams to get a little raised spot. So we have to take some 400 sandpaper, something like that, and just sand this area. Make sure your timing gear is sliding on your camshaft nicely before you install the camshaft.
So when you have the cam in the engine, you will have best to put this on first before you ever put the cam in. That way you're not trying to struggle to put the Woodruff key in there with the cam in the engine.
So hold on, did you guys get that? So before you install the cam, you're gonna take the big bevel washer, you're gonna install it on the cam, and you're gonna install your keyway. Then you're gonna install your cam in the engine and start stacking the parts on.
And this particular Woodruff key is the trade number is a number 8. That's what this is. If you need to find one, this is a number 8 Woodruff key. Then you can put your thrust plate on, and they're basically, other than some chewy marks from having been installed with lock washers, they're basically non-directional.
So remember, this Woodruff key's already installed. We're leaving it off for the video just to show you the order, but this Woodruff key's already installed. So
here you go. Now as you slide this on here, you're already going to be crank gear's already going to be on the crankshaft because it's considerably longer. And the old wives' tale, the old rumor,
there you go.
about, mark 12 pins in between them. It's true.
It's all true. So your dots on your cam and your crank gear have to aim at 3 o'clock if you're staring at the timing set. And then you can see we've just taken a Sharpie, and the dots essentially will come out between the pins. So a lot of people will draw the lines first, and that makes it easy to count the 12 pins between these two lines. Once you have the timing set like this, oriented in your hand, now you're ready to put it on. And this Woodruff key will essentially, on the crank, will be aimed up the driver's side bank. And this key, I guess, will be kind of aimed in roughly the same direction.
Yeah.
But the most important part is that your dots are out at 3 o'clock. You draw your lines in between and count the pins, 12 of them, and then you're ready to install it.
And another thing that concerns people when they install a timing set is that the number 1 cylinder will be an overlap. That always surprises people, and they think it must be wrong. It isn't.
That's actually correct for most domestic V8s. Okay. If you grew up working on motorcycles or overhead cam engines, those type of engines are installed typically on the compression stroke. But most of your domestic V8s are installed on the overlap. The camshaft will be in TDC overlap.
So now we're gonna, depending on how you want to put yours together, or what parts you have, you may use the counterweight at this point, or this spacer.
Broach spacer. So then the gear, the broach spacer, the fuel pump eccentric. Get the big washer there.
We need the big. This is actually about 285, 290 thousandths thick on these. So to help you identify it when you're looking through your bucket of parts, when you're putting.
And it's easily identifiable because the bevel is about the same on each part. And this is significantly thicker than your thrust plate. Remember, the washer that we put on back here, or the spacer for the thrust plate, was only 4 to 7 thousandths thicker than the thrust plate. That's about all the end play the cam has. This is a good 100,000ths or 1/10 of an inch thicker. If you set this inside the thrust plate, it will be obvious this is not the one that goes there. So after the fuel pump eccentric, then the bigger spacer, and then your bolt and washer.
And here's something you might want to talk about.
Okay, so this is the earlier models, correct?
No, I believe that's the
Oh, this is the later model. The later model went to Ford's bad idea, the flat bottom thread. This was their idea of trying to build some kind of lock washer. Typically in performance, all of Ford's flat bottoming ideas were eliminated. Whether it be 427 Le Mans rods, when people race those, they end up V-bottom tapping them and putting good bolts in there. Like on Hypo 289s, if you put real rocker studs in them, you end up tapping the V-bottom out. And the reason is that any friction that this takes to install, any torque that it takes to overcome this friction is torque that is not applied to clamping it down tighter. And that's, you know, all of your high performance fasteners, they always want them to go in smooth and be lubricated so that when you apply torque to them, they go on, you know, with as little friction in the threads as possible, so that you're applying as much torque to the head right here in threads and actually clamping. But people have used this with success. If you have one of these, just understand that there's a certain amount of friction going in, and you might have to put a little bit more torque on it to overcome the amount of torque you're losing with this thread friction. But this is the later model bolt. And that is...
This is just a free spinning bolt, and of course Ford generally didn't have markings on a lot of their bolts, so is this a grade 5 or a grade 8? Well, we really don't know.
We typically will use, you know, grade 8 or better new bolt. So anyway, I think that we've beat up the time on this one. I hope you guys learned something from this video. We get this call all the time, and hopefully this will make your Y-block engine building assembly a nicer experience. So we got to go. If you guys like the video, hit like, subscribe. Hope you got something from this. Never be afraid to visit FordYBlock.com. And coming from John and Jeff, have a good night. Thank you.